Alrighty guys, just flying down the freeway here, chuck the phone on my lap. Gonna have another rant. These rants are probably getting a bit like Elvis Travels rants, you know, just sort of getting the same. I was talking to a guy at work who I've been working with for a few weeks now, Samoan guy, and he gave me good insight to the Samoan girls and that, and I talked a lot to him about Little Miss and all the shenanigans with Little Miss, and he explained sort of the difference between the ones who sort of grow up in, a lot of them grow up in New Zealand versus the ones who grow up in Samoa, and sort of a lot more about the culture in practical terms and stuff like that. You know, I get it all the time from guys I work with, and especially from married women that I work with. They can't actually believe I'm single. They really find it hard to even fathom. And I mean, I've had a lot of people say to me, Fixed by Doc was one of them, you know, you've just got to get out there. And that's probably really the key that I've been ignoring the whole time. At one point there, I was going to get involved in a bushwalking group. I rang 3 times and still couldn't get through to the person who ran the damn bushwalking group. And it was right on the start of, start of winter. And I thought, now who's going to want to... I'm going to get a Benz up my arse here. Fucking hell. I think it's a convertible coupe Benz. It's just pulled in behind me again. Anyway. Who's going to want to go on bushwalks through the damn forest in the middle of the pouring rain? So it didn't really bother. And quite frankly, there was one side of me that said, what is the point? I'm going to go on this bushwalking group and just find a lot of the same girls that I've found on dating sites. At one point there, I went to, it was a different church every week. I went to about at least 6 different churches. I'm not joking. Any girls that were around my age were already married. And usually I'd end up talking to them and then end up talking to their husband. Or they were about 22, 23, and quite simply they're just too young for me. And you might creep up behind them and hope to join in the conversation, and no chance. But it was surprising, any girls that were my age, the whole lot of them were already taken. I saw one thing that was advertised as, talk about false advertising, young people and couples. And I thought, oh well, that means there's, you know, people in their 20s, and if they're couples, well, they're probably, you know, we're talking 20 to maybe 28, something like that. And I thought, yeah, I could, you know, this is like a year or 2 back, I thought I could do with a 28-year-old or something like that, 26, 27, whatever. And so I went there. I tell you what, the whole lot of them were about 16, aside from the pastor and a few of the parents. And I ended up talking to one of the dads, who happened to be a mechanic. And I was in radiator manufacturing at the time, and so we ended up talking a lot about car radiators versus mining equipment radiators. Oh, the things you do when you're out supposedly looking for a girl. Friggin' hell. What false advertising was that? Anyway, young couples. What the hell does that mean? They're all 16. They weren't even out of school yet. Anyways. Same with a lot of these dating sites, you know. Some of them, they're not all train wreck sites, particularly the paid sites. There's a lot of teachers and a lot of nurses on those sites, the paid ones. You know, and I'd pay $5 to talk to a girl who wouldn't answer back, and then about a week and a half later I'd send her another message and I was blocked. and you paid $5 to be blocked. Mind you, there was a way that they could actually, they'd send a little thing that's referred to it as a kiss, and if you were interested in her, you'd send one, and if she was interested in you, she'd send one back, and that wouldn't cost you anything. But then you'd have the initial, you know, she'd send one back, and then you'd know she's interested too, and you'd either get, you know, a 2-line response is all you'd hear. Mind you, that $5 would allow you to talk for a month, and they made the idea that after a month you'd pretty much have worked out if you were going to be suited or not, or you would at least arrange a date in that month. I might get a 2-line reply in that 4 weeks, or just be blocked. And these were girls who, you know, you would have hoped they weren't train wrecks, they weren't white trash, they were employed, and that's the best response you'd get from some of them. And others would talk a bit to me, and then they'd turn around and say, well, I'm not willing to live in the country, and so many weren't willing to live in the country. And, yeah. What the hell am I going to do? Go to horse events? That might be an option to get a country girl. But then you'd get one who's paying $7,000 a year to look after these stupid horses. I know 1 or 2 years I got experience with horses, and I tell you over here of what I've known, and I have known a few girls who are into horses, and it's nothing to spend $7,000 to $12,000 a year on these bloody horses. I don't want to turn around and just say I'm just putting that out of my mind entirely, but it's a lot of these people, by hell, you know, I might go there and you wouldn't know if you're marrying her or you're marrying the bloody horse, because at the end of the day you'll be paying for it. And I don't want to turn around and say, oh yeah, well, you know, I want to avoid, but honestly, you know, you'll be taking the horse as part of the package. Just like if they take me, they'll be taking Black Kitty as part of the package. You know, and Black Kitty doesn't cost 12 grand a year, I'll put it like that. Actually, since Tabby Cat's gone, she doesn't eat much food at all, really. I'm surprised at how little it does cost to feed her now. $50 will last her, oh hell, 5 or 6 months. Anyways, this is the thing, you know, I'm running out of options, and I started to talking to him about Samoan girls and all that, and Little Miss did mention something about gold diggers, and I said to him, are there Samoan gold diggers? Or was she just saying this in order to keep me with her? You know, and he said, look, I'll tell you about Samoan girls. He said they wouldn't even be smart enough to be gold diggers. He said they wouldn't even know the legal process to go through when it comes to divorce. They wouldn't even know what they're going to do. You know, he said they wouldn't even know how to flame and take you for a big divorce payout. And he reckons if I went to Samoa, he said they would be throwing themselves at me. And he's actually with a Filipino girl. And he's been to the Philippines, and he said you'd be shocked at the amount of Europeans and Americans and Canadians and Aussies all over there, all trying to marry, you know, young Filipino, meeting their mail order brides in person and over there looking for a little sugar baby in her 20s to marry, like somebody else that some of us may know of or have known. Anyway, yeah, I said I'd rather a Samoan girl than a Filipino girl, and he said, yeah, one of the things is they do come with a lot of baggage. Well, not baggage, but he said there's a lot of drama that can be involved in, you've got to ask the father and all that, and I've read up on all this stuff, and Little Miss gave me a bit of an idea of all that, and he said a lot of them, he said, if they grow up in New Zealand, they're pretty all right. The ones that grow up in Samoa, they're very dedicated to their family. They don't believe in nursing homes. You will have your in-laws living with you when they're older, and you will be waiting on them hand and foot till, well, you won't, but she'll be looking after them till the day they die. It's standard procedure, and I know it's the same in Eastern Europe, that the grandparents stay with you and live with you until the day they die. And originally the same thing with the British, but times have changed for us anyway, and let's face it, we're no longer British. And I'll tell you another little secret about Australia. Most Aussies aren't British. They're actually a mix of British and Irish, as I am. And I've also got Scotch and Welsh, but anyway. The Welsh side was very wealthy on my family. Very, very wealthy. But she married Dan in class, and that was my great-grandmother, and she got disinherited because she married down in the class system. Anyways, I'll throw a few of these ideas around and whatnot. I don't know if I ever told you guys this, I actually joined up with another mob called African Love at one point there. And yeah, I'll put it like this, it's sort of favourable to the guys more than the women. I tell you what, things are a little bit different. Some people want citizenship. I don't think it would have mattered if I had to look like a friggin' bulldog and been as fat as a house. I got 90 messages in the first 24 hours, I shit you not. And that was 90 messages from, well, it was actually more than 90, it was over 120, but it was 90 different girls. Some of them messaged me 3 times in the first 24 hours. One of them messaged me 4 times. Plenty of them will be gagging for citizenship. And many of them were very thin, a little bit too thin. 90% of them were, I don't know how many years have dealt with Sudanese, but 90% of them were like Sudanese, very tall and very thin. If any of you have got relatives who are involved in the war in the mid-90s in Somalia, you might understand what I'm talking about. There are a whole class of Negroes who are very tall and very thin, and they made up about 90% of the profiles, and about 3% of them were really cute, about 7% of them were just hippos, and you sort of have, you don't think all your dreams come true necessarily when you get 90 messages from 90 different accounts in the first 24 hours. You sort of have alarm bells ringing instead, so I deleted my account after the first day. And this is the thing, you know, you don't want to go chasing a mail order bride and effectively standing on a landmine in the process. Yeah, one of these things. Anyway, they keep always telling me that I should have no trouble, and you know, I sort of think to myself sometimes maybe I'd find someone over YouTube, but then how many female subs have I got on YouTube? Well, apparently it's about 40%. How many of those out of 1,100 are worthy contenders? Apparently it's about 0. So anyway, YouTube, and I mean, you know, even the person who we know who married a Filipino, 90,000 subscribers, yet not a girl for him amongst those 90,000 subscribers. So yeah, YouTube isn't any platform to meet anybody, regardless of the fact that you might have 40% of your subscribers being female and who are obviously interested in living off grid. But this ain't the platform. YouTube ain't the platform. Anyway, just a few more of my random thoughts and another rant yet again for the umpteenth time on the whole dating situation. It's funny, you know, everybody tells me it should be so close for me, but from my perspective it always seems so far away. And those of you who listen long enough can probably hear the end part. There's a particular woman who is, it's part of extended family, but she's Colombian. And as part of a very large family get-together, that I'm actually going to fly into state for, I'm probably going to get a good couple of hours talking to this Colombian girl. And I might see if she's got somebody who she can recommend out of Colombia. She's got a few sisters and whatnot, and I don't know how to put it, but I'll put it this way: if she had a sister, it'd be a sister worth knowing, if you know what I mean. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. That's probably going to occur, I think it's about 3 weeks away. I don't know exactly. I've got to check the times to somebody else. I did know. I forgot. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Apparently they're pretty good, some of the Colombian girls.